Thank you for this post-lunch dip presentation. Should I continue in English? Any preference, or shall we change to Dutch? Nederlands?
English if there's a rewatch.
Okay, now then we continue in English, but of course our native tongue is Dutch. Now, thank you also for the organization for this opportunity. I will give a bit more higher level presentation of what I feel we should be doing as a education for more applied type of research, and we will give you an insight through Joran on more educational aspects and how we try to bring AI, and now we just talked about it with Dion, the extreme fast developments of AI in an organization that is now more geared, and that's not only our fault, it's also because we in the Netherlands have organized our educational system in a certain way, so how we still can keep some speed, some velocity in bringing the younger generation with enough background to the labor market. This picture you will give a bit more insight later on, but actually this picture was done for the Minister of Education who visited Groningen a couple of weeks back, and then it's also nice, and it's not to brag, but kind of that we are there here, and then also people from The Hague come to see how we, for example, organize this type of work. So I see this as an implicit pat on the back that we are on the right track, but we would like to share that with you because you are our peers, and that's why we stand here and take you through a bit how we, also from a computer science background, look at the world. Of course, we don't do it in isolation. In particular, the research, we are very, let's say, geared, or we want to service the strategic choices made by the local authorities. Now, you'll speak Dutch. These are the major transition themes. But interestingly, of course, people recognize that digitalization, digital transformation is core of that. So I found this in one of these more beleids documents. And education is there at the bottom. And then, of course, we were reflecting a little bit. And I thought, it almost looks like it's an equator where we have research. And if you pass the equator, you have to pass Neptunus, which, of course, with this, I don't know the English word, with the drietand. So I thought, okay, this is actually a nice paraphrase of what we do. But it was more an introduction. So I will handle and cover a little bit the top half, the upper half. And Joran will go a bit more in detail. How do we try to do that on the more educational side of our business? Of course, and now I have some peers in the room, people that I already know for a very long time. I was raised in the traditional programming world where we have many paradigms. But you are in control and you define kind of the rules. And of course we now are in a completely new world where we want the rules are the result of the data that we feed it. And that's a different mindset. And that's where I as a professional have to adapt to. That's why we have this beautiful conference. But also the educational system. And of course the transitions on where we want to be active. Now, I've listed them again on the above, and I will give some examples of the research that we've done, and a few of them will be actually presented at this conference. I'm very proud of that. But that's healthcare, the energy transition, and then the smart industry and the agriculture. That, of course, is a very long tradition. And I added one more. I called it the administrative IT. The larger, mainly government organizations that we have, large employers of IT staff. So most of our alumni are working over there. And I include ourselves as an educational organization, also as an administrative, depending on the time of day, organization or a beast. So those are kind of the application areas where we want to be useful and helpful. We do that by helping organizations with innovation, but also build up some expertise on technology. And then, of course, now I see Niels in the room. We have a different layer in the ecosystem. We cooperate a lot, but we want to have more the operational side, more the engineering side. So more engineering, less scientific. And let's say for my group, we focus more on the data ops, ML ops of the site, and also the business models that change if you apply, for example, technology as machine learning. And I have a very good colleague. Her name is Trix Mulder. She works at our law department, and she specialized on IT and law, which is getting very dominant. More and more legislation is coming our way. And you have to take these aspects, privacy, but more in aspects also there. We don't do it in isolation. So besides technology is business, but also the legal aspects. That, of kind of what you, at least I will open the door if you ring at our doorstep. If I can help you, that of course is something else. I will give you now a couple of examples, and I'll start with Harald, who just before the break gave a presentation, so thank you for copycatting your presentation. But very cool work, high scientific work as well, on building, you named it a human digital twin, so a digital twin of a whole human, so not an organ, but a body as a whole, or at least the behavior of a body as a whole. To see, for example, the top one, if you can do personal coaching, so that you make this watch more intelligent and give you the right incentive so that you reach your 5,000, 10,000 or whatever ambition you have. So it's more personal training, and this one is more with the medical context. People that have had serious injuries, get them more healthy as healthy as possible into the hospital, so their stay is shorter and their recovery is faster. And what are then the dominating factors? But do that based on a machine learning type of work. Very state of the art. So that's an example of almost applied scientific work that we do. That's what happens before the break. After the break, and he will be physically in the same room, other colleague of ours, Steven, he would like to give an example of how we use machine learning within the energy transition. And I'm always I also have to go through kind of a lot of background expertise, but the fundamental questions are, I would say, very relevant. It's either for you as a homeowner, should I buy this battery? We bought some solar panels, and now what? And what is then the turning point? And would it make sense? Can you make a little, can you at least get return on investment on, for example, do a home battery control, but also for the big boys, if you explore a very large solar panel, and you can trade on the Amsterdam Power Exchange, and you have to give day-ahead prices. How can you manage that? And then also have, and you will go into the details. I think, economy, weather forecast, I think everything will pass by. So super fancy, again, applied work towards real questions I think that organizational individuals might have. Now then the third one, Leg is also in the room. His work, you just embarked actually together with the Bernoulli Institute, focused on the, let's say, the ML ops. So this how do you get a pipeline in order to do proper machine learning? We take it from case studies that we actually do in our more applied work. And also this one is a very nice one. I put some pictures. Below there we try to do autonomous vehicles, so with a lot of plant recognition, for example, and how can we get the image recognition pipeline more up and running. Now you just embarked on this Leg together with Vasilios. So now maybe next year you have the possibility to explain a little bit how far you got by then. So this is more focusing on bringing the technology further, while Harald and Steven are actually giving research into the domains. Now, one I'm personally a bit more close with is an Interreg, so that means it's funding with an international partner, in this case just across the border. Our colleague, also an applied university in Osnabrück, where we want to see how can we use ML to make more production-oriented organizations more sustainable. So it combines, let's say, sustainability with fancy use of AI. And they kind of call over the place, but it's also interesting to see. In this case, we were there actually yesterday. VEPA, didn't know they existed, but very interesting company. They are in Emmen, but also in Hogeveen, and they make furniture, mostly office furniture. And they want to do it in a very sustainable way, so that's also why they want to team up with organizations like ours. And in this case, this was just one of the many cases we want to have more fancy cameras. You see here an example of, let's say, the metal frame that they use to build a chair or a table. And if it has some anomalies over here, and you detect that too late, then you build a complete table, and then you have to throw away the table. So that's completely waste. So you want to do a very good quality control on your but on your incoming materials. Now, we all know, this is visual training, more data is needed. But yeah, they get pretty good stuff from Tata Steel, so they don't have that many test sets. Now, and here, my colleague Remy was the brainwave. Let's use, in this case, Gen AI to generate more pictures, and let's see if that will give us a data set so we can train the algorithm so that he will become better in testing real anomalies, and that seems to work. So that's an example of where we do prototyping. to, in this case, make the camera that they were using more intelligent. Why I brought this one up, also for people that do have an enterprise, we got the funding get extended, and next year we can invite more companies to become part of this consortium. Often you see these things are kind of sealed off from the beginning. This one is more open-ended, so we will have more capabilities of doing these type of experiments with you, as long as it will help your sustainability in the broader sense of your business, and we somehow can use AI-related technologies. So that's towards these Neptunus, but we also feel we have responsibility towards our own education, and that's my bridge towards there. So people may, last year I was here, very proud, with a student actually, very good with Arends. We did some homework on, let's say, a consumer test on fraud detection tools, because we as an organization got, of course, very scared that all these reports that the students write were generated with JTTP and the like. So we did a selection of commercially available fraud detection tools. And we found one that at least, it's called CopyLeaks. I don't have shares, but that one did it pretty well. That's an example of where we use our research skills to help our educational process. We did some testing, kind of A/B testing with our computer science classes on programming. And we had one group using, for example, JTTP or Copilot, and another group didn't. And now, what were actually the quality of our assignments? Now, yeah, not a surprise, not even a spoiler alert. Yeah, our assignments were far too easy, because you just throw it in as a prompt, and the C code in this case. This came out compiler ready. So that's as well, guys. We have to grow up and now potentially have to redesign all our programming classes. And we also do it for other types of education. This one's close to my heart. Also primary, so basisschool, for example, get young generation already exposed to, for example, the ELSA concepts, so the legal and societal aspects, and the kind of the risks that potentially is involved with these models. And we do it together with the Rijksuniversiteit, and we have a joint truck, actually with a German license plate. So also it does some works in northern Germany, and this one actually brings this technology actually at the school's doorstep. And some of the experiments within this truck are designed by colleagues of mine to get almost in a gamification session, younger generation already exposed to these type of technologies, and also the pros and the cons. So hopefully that gives you a little bit very short umbrella on the type of applied research that we do, and also the application domains. And now actually I would like to invite you, Joran, forward to take the audience through the more educational part of the business.
Is my volume right like this? Yeah? Thank you. I tend to be very loud, especially when I'm talking after a co-worker of mine, so I could probably do this presentation without the microphone, but yeah, let's do it like this. So my name is Joran Arends. I'm a lecturer, a data science lecturer at Hanze. I am bound to HBO ICT, which is the Faculty of Information Studies at Hanze. It consists of the major software engineering, network security engineering, and business and IT management. We are trying to implement as much AI in our programs as possible, but as Rick also already mentioned, it's really hard to overhaul a major program. So it's a 4-year program, and there are a lot of administrative roadblocks that you have to go through in order to change a major program, which makes sense because you can't have 4 students graduating in 4 consecutive years with completely different diplomas. So what we are doing in order to keep our students in touch with AI is that we are looking at other projects that we can attend to. One of them is actually in the picture, like Rick already mentioned. It's a self-driving challenge from the RDW. I am pleased to tell you guys that our team actually won. That's why they met the minister. It's a challenge where our students had to guide a self-driving car over a racetrack. And last year it was just about being the fastest on the track, but during this session they also had to perform several maneuvers. So they had to perform an overtaking maneuver, they had to stop for trespassing civilians, they also had to stop for a traffic light. And they won it, so we are very proud of that. And something else that I would really like to dedicate the remainder of the session to is our minor. I don't know if everyone is aware what a minor is. A minor is an elective program. It tends to be an elective that's 1 semester. And it's meant to be that students can, basically follow a different type of studies to broaden their horizon. Well, we have the minor, how AI will impact my future profession, AI your future profession. And the minor is very popular, as you can probably expect. I think this is the third year that it is running since it was founded, and student enrollments doubled each session that we gave. The minor is 20 weeks where the students dive into everything regarding AI and their future profession. So we are really trying to take them on a journey to find out how artificial intelligence is going to impact their future profession. It's also important to know that we are not trying to create AI developers or engineers, because we don't have the illusion that we can accomplish that in 20 weeks. But it's also not something that we want, because we want to be open to students of all technical background levels. These 20 weeks consist of technical lectures from my coworkers about data handling. They will perform basic machine learning. They will get a lot of information about deep learning, generative AI, prompt engineering, etc. But we also try to give them a lot of inspirational guest lectures where we debate ethics, responsible AI, and we also invite a lot of companies over that are already applying AI. Vico is here in the audience. TNO is also a company that gave a talk last year at our minor, which was very inspiring for the students, but I'll touch upon that later. They are also working on a project with external clients, and I gave a small example underneath. This semester we are working with Staatsbosbeheer, for instance. They have a very old archive with a lot of handwritten documents about several places in the forest where forest rangers take a small note. And our students right now are looking at how they can automatically modernize this and categorize the archive full of handwritten notes, so that it becomes a huge database that you can just query on based on the location. It's very cool. But the main thing that they are working on is their learning plan and their portfolio. And that's also how we assessing these students. The students are required to collect products in their own learning plan. So they are collecting different products during the minor, which they feel like is working towards them getting a better understanding of AI in their future profession. And they put it into their portfolio. This makes the minor open to technical, but also to non-technical students. I will give some examples of products and portfolios later on during the presentation, but it's not as if everything has to be coding. They can also write an essay on ethical AI, or they can dive deeper into how AI is going to, I don't know, cause a loss of jobs in their profession, or how it can really enable them to get an advantage. All students get a basic level programming course, and all students perform basic data exploration, because we really feel like that is key to understand the main concepts about AI. And the students are assessed in an interview. At the halfway mark, after 10 weeks, there is an interview. And after the minor, at the end, after 20 weeks, there is also an interview. And we are not assessing them on the level of technicality that they created, but we are assessing them on their personal progression. So we are really exercising the concept of the community of learners, where learning is not just from the teachers, but also from the co-students. So we spend a lot of time debating in discussions in group sessions. We are trying to have the students who cooperate on their learning goals. And we spend a lot of time on peer-to-peer feedback. And especially with the international students that we have during the second semester, this is really working very well. A nice example is that we have an IT student, for instance, who's very good at programming in Python. He actually created slides, and he gave a 3-hour course to a business administration student that was not proficient in Python at all, so that he could really get up to speed with his personal project. And in return, the business administration student said, hey, you have a meeting with your client tomorrow? Well, let me help you, and let me review your questions so that you can derive the right information during your interview with your client as well. We are really trying to reward the help, so this is also something that we can reward in the assessment. If they can show us that they are actively communicating and participating in a community of learners. Now you might be wondering what all those students are actually producing, how such a portfolio looks. So I am here to give you 2 examples of different levels of technicality, different base levels, but these are things that our students can work on. So for instance, we have a tourism student. She heard during a group discussion about ethical AI that hotels might exercise facial recognition in rooms to enter doors. She wrote an essay about that because she's really concerned about that. She also got inspired by a guest lecture to get better at prompting. She saw a nice guest lecture from Legal Mike, where she saw that lawyers are really improving their speed and they are better at prompting. So she's also doing experiments in prompting. She created a small predictive model to improve the planning at the front desk of the hotel that she's working with at her hometown, so that they can better allocate personnel at the front desk, so that they are not standing there overcrowded at moments where there are no clients arriving at all, but they are also not underpossessed when there are a lot of people. She's also the social media administrator of the hotel where she's working at. So she performed a small sentiment analysis on social media and reviews, which really helped out her home hotel as well. And she reflected on the entire learning process. Now we also have a software engineering student. And she saw a cool guest lecture from an organization, could be TNO. I'm not sure if it was in there. But yeah, she was really triggered by TensorFlow. So she followed an extra course on TensorFlow programming. She's also a web designer in her free time. So she created a chatbot to automate the email reply for a web design company because she's spending the majority of her time learning AI, and she hates repetitive tasks such as replying to emails. She is also a big board game enthusiast, so she created a reinforcement learning model. She trained it to eventually create an unbeatable agent in the game Connect 4. And she also wrote an essay on the AI in the future of software engineering because, well, she was kind of worried that she saw all these different students around her with a non-technical background that seemed to be quite able to program after 20 weeks. So she was really concerned about that. She's hearing a lot in the news about the future of coding, so she wrote a small essay on that as well. And eventually she reflected on it in the learning plan. So these are two completely different portfolios that eventually were sufficient, and they both eventually got a very nice grade. Now, to make it a little bit more interactive, we have a small mini game, and the game is about finding the software engineering student. So like I mentioned, our non-technical students seem to be quite able to create pretty technical solutions. So we are going to show you two projects on the screen. It could either be individual projects or it could be group projects that were conducted by our students. They were not fully developed, but they eventually led to working solutions, and there were some promising results in there. And I'm asking you guys to identify the software engineering student. So this is the first one. You can just play it in your mind, and then eventually we'll see if somebody has them all correct. The AI to improve the climate control system in a large public building was actually the one that the software engineering student did. Not the ML model that predicts future tourism, that Mr. Ameland. That was actually done by a business administration student. I hear something. Was it correct? No? Okay, cool. Yeah, the unsupervised clustering on webshop customers to create customer segments was actually done by a marketing student. Anyone wants to guess? Nope. It was one of technical business administration, technische bedrijfskunde, who developed the single-player shooting game for iOS. It was simple, but it was working. It was kind of cool. And the final one. Anyone wants to guess again? Again. This was actually a group project, the first one, but that was made by students from environmental studies, I believe, and also someone from technical business administration. So this just goes to show you that our students from a non-technical background can really get a good grip of the basic skills, and they can really develop some cool machine learning and AI solutions eventually after 20 weeks. Yeah, we had this one in there as well, so did someone find a pattern? But I believe there is no pattern, as the solutions that the software engineering or computer science students developed are pretty similar to the ones that were created by the non-computer science students. We like to spend the remainder of our session to some questions that we have for the audience, as this is kind of a hot topic, not just at our school, but also in the society. But this is also something that is really concerning our IT students at the minor, as well, like I just mentioned, they are really experiencing competition from non-technical students. Is there anyone that would like to reply to this? Yes. Oh, the microphone is coming over.
Yeah, so thank you. Well, generally speaking, this meme is going around for quite some time, and they say your job will not be replaced by AI, but somebody using AI And I think that's also the case for IT students, so developers, software engineers, designers. If you're not using AI in your day-to-day work, you will be replaced by somebody using AI. And that can be indeed from a different profession. It depends a little bit on the task level required. Because indeed, if you go to IT students, if you look at software engineering, you still need to have a grasp of the concepts involved in software engineering, like graphs, like algorithms, like all these kind of things. But basic programming you can just do now with the support of ChatGPT. So I don't think they should be worried as long as the Hanze keeps up with the current speed of developments in AI.
Cool. Thank you. Then we have another question if nobody wants to reply to this one. So this is not just about the IT students, but this is also about the other students that are participating in a minor, as they are feeling like their professions are really changing fast as well. We had a guest lecture from Legal Mike, and correct me if I'm wrong, Rix, but they said that they are already operating in the Baltic states. Maybe you can.
No, they had a story that one of the Baltic states there was a judge already replaced by an AI model for cases with an impact of less than 10,000 euros. So this is from somebody. It's not like from hearsay. This is like a let's say first-hand information, and it's a Groningen-based startup. That was and Frankrijk. He gave the lecture, and also, but he was now in the field of law. He said it's, and also Gardner. He's not only his own experience, also the major analysts say. Now, at least he was trying to get also our students, not afraid, but at least inspired is the positive one, but also a little bit.
Start prompt engineering.
And okay, in particular, and also with a good. Okay, that's now time to preach to the masses. But he was there on one of the pictures. But at least do proper prompt engineering, so you get not a fairy tale out of the model, but in this case, whatever a legal document out of the model.
Yeah.
But so he would say, speaking on behalf of Frank, he would say definitely yes.
There was a hand at the front, yeah.
Well, I find the way the question is phrased very interesting. In America they would put something like, should HBO students be excited about the future of their profession? We're always focusing on the negative, on the limitations, which I always struggle with. I have the same problem in my own company. I would say they should be very excited about the new possibilities. If you're motivated and you see all the things that are possible, oh my God! Like I get excited just thinking about it. So that's my take.
Well, I can only support what you're saying. I think maybe even the teachers should be a bit worried. Because I think, as you just said, that it's going to. I think what we see with people coming from HBO in our company is that what this is going to do is going to create a lot of time for them to dive deeper into the projects, because a massive amount of the standard work will be just taken over, like what you're just saying with this judge. It's a big good thing that this just doesn't have to get into all these shitty things of less than 10,000 euros or people throwing mud at each other. You can just have an AI solving the problem, and he can just basically focus on the work that he's actually good in. Yeah. So I think also for HBO students, it would actually imply that they get time to get better in what they do. So dive deeper instead of getting broader.
Thank you. I think due to time constraint, we cannot do the last question that we have, but feel free to approach us downstairs after the sessions at the drinks, because we are really curious what you guys think of our minor. We showed some vulnerability. This is what we are doing, but we are really curious what you guys as the professionals think of our minor. Is there a glaring hole in our program? Is there something that we really have to include in it? Because you guys are the actual AI professionals. Thank you.
And with that, I would want to thank you for the talk.